Sure, I would do honestly.
Very, very long time, and there are also other emotions you would speak about when speaking about cricket. But there's kind of always reason to celebrate because of the game and its reach. And as we gather today, kind of look forward to what we're here for, which you will find out about, which is similar to the things that I've just kind of mentioned and the things that I thought about. So welcome. It's not my job to welcome you. My name is Mpomela Lombama, or Pomi, as many of you will call me. I need to call up the CSA board chair, the vivacious Pearl Mafoshi.
Wow, I've never been introduced that way. I guess I'll have to live up to that standard now. Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Minister Gayton Mckenzie, Minister in the Presidency, Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Ms. Marupeng Ramahopa, Deputy Minister of Sports in Namibia, Dino Baloti, President of Cricket South Africa, Mr. Rian Richards, Chair of the LOC Board, Mr. Trevor Manuel, LOC Board members, CSA Board members that are present, the Members Council, members of the media, our commercial partners, members of the cricket family, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Today marks a very proud and historic moment for South African cricket with the launch of our LOC, the Local Organizing Committee. We officially begin the journey to deliver the significant event, cricket, the World Cup in 2027. This is significant, not just for South Africa, but for Africa as a whole, for the continent. Hence you will see the Minister of Sports in Namibia present here today. This is more than a sporting event for us. It is a national project, and indeed an African project, that we embrace with a sense of responsibility. It is an opportunity for us to showcase the very best of who we are as a country and of all that we have to offer as a nation. Our love for the game, our hospitality, ubuntu, our diversity, and our resilience. The World Cup will bring immense benefit to our beautiful country, to help us to create the much needed jobs, to boost our tourism, and drive investment into local businesses, especially our small and medium businesses. But equally important, it will leave a legacy that will outlive the final ball of the tournament. From the grassroots programs to community fan zones, from upgraded facilities to opportunities for small enterprises, as I said, every province and every community must feel the touch of this World Cup. Transformation and inclusivity for us, by the way, it's not just a side thing. It's not a side issue. These are at the heart of this journey. We want the World Cup to reflect the faces, the beautiful faces of South Africa. Faces that are diverse and yet united and full of possibilities. Every child, everywhere they come from, should look at this tournament and believe that the game belongs to them. Believe that they can be a next Makayantini, the next Bavuma, the next Maharaj. We also understand the responsibility that comes with hosting such a global event. The LOC has been built on the foundation of integrity, transparency, and accountability. I cannot emphasize that more. Everything that you will see on the pitch happens on the back of a very strong governance foundation. We are working to the highest governance standards, guided by both CSA and the ICC, because every rand that is going to be spent must deliver for cricket and for our nation. Equally, The safety of our players, the safety of our friends and officials is non-negotiable. We are working hand in glove with government, as you will see, and security agencies to ensure that the World Cup is safe, it is festive, and it is world class. Just as South Africa has proven it can do it before. We remember the World Cup in 2010. Our vision is very simple. It is to deliver a tournament that unites the world through cricket, inspires a new generation of players and fans, and leaves a legacy that strengthens the game for decades to come. The road to 2027 begins today. Together, we are ready. As we say it in cricket, wars are now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
This is the name.
And you are vivacious, this is my description. It's now time to introduce our wonderful guest speaker. She's one of South Africa's most respected journalists, an award-winning and best-selling author, celebrated for credibility and incisive storytelling, host of the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk, a weekly columnist on EWN, a winner of numerous accolades, including multiple Vodacom Journalist of the Year awards, the CNN African Radio Journalist of the Year, and SA Radio Awards. She's mum to Sam and Ruby. That's her most important job. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mandy Wiener.
Morning, everybody, and good morning, all protocol observed. My most important job is sitting on the grass at the Wanderers with my son, watching cricket. It's my happy place, it's my most important job, and that's what I take most pride in doing. It's such a pleasure to be speaking here today at such an auspicious event, and it's so important for us to get some perspective about the country, where we are, and what this is going to mean for us as South Africans. So my job every day is to tell people how bad everything is in the country. I speak about crime, corruption, malfeasance, wrongdoing. I speak about ministers trending on Twitter. Too soon. It's very easy for me to stand up in front of an audience and speak about everything that's wrong with the country. I've been doing that for 2 decades. But today I'm going to speak to you as this kid. And Poppy told me I have not great form, hey? Not great form. But I'm going to speak to you as the little girl who was the only girl in the boys' cricket team in Polokwane. As a sports fan, I was behind the net when Shabalala scored that goal for all of Africa. So I've been a massive cricket fan throughout my life. I remain a massive cricket fan. I am the eternal optimist about the Proteas, and you know, we've got all the feelings, guys. I know. So what often happens in this country is we tend to fall into the default narrative that everything is broken and nothing. That it tends to become the only story that we tell. And I love this quote from the Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie, in which she speaks about the danger of a single story. And that really tends to happen in South Africa. We have a very parochial view where we think everything is much worse in South Africa than it is anywhere else. And it's so important for us to remember that there are many stories to tell about South Africa. There really are. And South Africa is the kind of place where you hope on Monday and you despair on Tuesday. We ride that roller coaster of emotions often, where you'll have stage 8 load shedding, which thankfully we don't have anymore, and then we'll win the World Test Championships and everybody will be celebrating. So we always have to remember, of course, the lived experience of many South Africans. We have over 70% unemployment amongst young people in this country. We know that things are difficult, and we have to remember that. But we also need to remember that there are many stories to tell about this country, and we have the responsibility to do that. I'm a big believer in what I call light and shade in the media, where we need to make sure there's balance and perspective, where we're not just telling the negative stories. Absolutely, we need to hold power to account. We need to make sure that politicians are accountable and that we highlight the wrongdoing. That's our duty. But at the same time, we have to make sure that there is light. And often, that comes in the form of sport. I like to speak about what I call the hope dealers in South Africa. And the hope dealers are those people who are changing the narrative. Those are good civil servants, people who are doing their jobs properly, people in state-owned enterprises, police officers, prosecutors, sports administrators. There are people that work in civil society, active citizens, people who volunteer, people who get involved and change the narrative. And very often the hope dealers in this country come from the sports sector in South Africa. There are sports people and there are sports administrators as well. And throughout our 30 years of democracy, we have seen how sport unifies. You know, of course, the world knows the story of Invictus, and everybody thinks that Francois Pienaar looks like Matt Damon, right? And this was that moment when we saw the Rainbow Nation coming together. Of course, there was a huge amount of work that still needed to be done in order to truly unify us. But I'm sure many of you who are far more experienced in the sporting environment will agree that we still needed a lot of work to be done. But that moment at Ellis Park in 1995 would never have been possible were it not for cricket. And cricket really did the work around teaching South Africans that we could watch our national team play. And upon readmission, how we saw the difference. So you'll remember in 1991 that hastily arranged tour to India. Clive Rice, it took 3 hours to drive through tens of thousands of people lining the streets in Kolkata. They went to meet Mother Teresa, 100,000 people in Eden Gardens, and that moment when South Africa had re-entered. Of course, there are many of you who would have played board cricket who had a very different experience in this country. But seeing cricket being readmitted and South Africa being readmitted opened the way for us to see what happened at Ellis Park in 1995. And it also allowed us to see South Africa winning the World Cup in rugby and how that unified us. And the magic that has been brought through winning World Cups, through hosting World Cups, as we saw in 1995. And how sport can bring us together in this country, and how it truly is a unifier. And what that means for you in hosting a Cricket World Cup, and how that can be a unifier for us as well. Like many of you, I was a Baker's mini cricket player every Saturday morning at my school. How many of you were Baker's mini cricket players? There we go. So that, for many people, was our introduction to cricket in South Africa. And the work that is being done by KFC and Cricket South Africa in terms of getting young people playing cricket and finding those gems across South Africa. People like Temba Bavuma. I did an event with Temba recently, a fireside chat, and he told me this beautiful story. I'm sure the journalists know the story all too well. He told it in a number of interviews that he did too, just after the World Test Championship victory at Lord's, about how he grew up playing on the dusty streets of Langa, and there was one intersection. On the one side it was crumbly and the ball would bounce all over the place, so they called it Karachi. And then across the road of the intersection was the MCG, and then there was a beautiful pavement, manicured pavement, that they called Lord's. And to think about this young boy growing up in Langa, playing at that intersection, dreaming of one day playing at Lord's, and to then win the World Test Championship at Lord's. You cannot script that. It is the most romantic, beautiful story of how sport gives us the feels, right? And to see him go back to Langa and to invest time and energy, that full circle moment of how sport can lift people out of poverty. It's incredible to think that the Oval at St. David's is now named after this kid from Langa. It really is the most beautiful, beautiful story about how sport can unite us and how sport can improve us and bring us together as a society. I think I've watched that clip about 1,000 times. I just absolutely love it. And you know what stands out for me the most is Ashwell Prince. And to think that Ashwell testified at the social justice and nation building hearings about how difficult it was for him as a player. And as Firdaus Munda wrote in Crick Info, the social justice and nation building hearings really cracked cricket open in South Africa and let the light in. And to see Ashwell Prince celebrating like that after winning a World Test Championship for me really tells the story of South African cricket. And there are fabulous stories to tell about cricket in South Africa. My friend Brent Lindegood, the Good Things guy, often writes about cricket in South Africa and shares these wonderful stories, like how there is a table cricket tournament at Lord's Tavernas, Lord's Tavernas, for disabled children in South Africa who are introduced to the beautiful game of cricket through this initiative. A story of how in Manenberg, Lada Africa is providing hope. 100 to 120 children every single day are fed in gang-riddled Manenberg and then spend the afternoon playing cricket. And how they've improved, how they have got bursaries to Bishops, to SACS, to other schools as well. Gary Kirsten's initiative in Khayelitsha, the Catch Trust, how that initiative is changing the lives of children in Khayelitsha. There are beautiful stories in South Africa, good stories, the light to the shade that I speak of, that we need to make sure we amplify and we tell as well. So, this past Saturday was a difficult Saturday for us in South Africa. It was a hard weekend. The Proteas lost. The Springboks worse than lost. Use your own words to describe that. Drinkers lost. And at the University of Johannesburg, they've got scientists who do this thing called the happiness index. So they measure how happy South Africa is. And what they measured this weekend is how unhappy South Africans were. So if you look at the data that comes from last Saturday, look how happy we were. Kaizer Chiefs fans, I know you're happy. Yeah. You don't have to tell us. You've won the first 3 games, it's okay. Season's long. But look how... Was that necessary? But it just goes to show, right, how sports ignites us as a nation. And Professor Kreling spoke about how sport plays a central role in our happiness. And disappointments across football, cricket, Bafana lost as well, profoundly affects the mood of a nation. And that's critical, because when we host sporting events, when we are winning at sport, we are a happier country. Another study was done just after the 2023 Rugby World Cup victory. And they asked South Africans how they feel. 64% of South Africans felt happy. 16% felt proud, excited, awesome, hopeful. All positive emotions that came from us winning, right? And the HSRC said an overwhelming 99% of respondents respondents said they knew that the Springboks had won. So literally the whole country knew that the Springboks had won. 88% said that sport adds to their sense of belonging to South Africa. Minister, close your ears for the next one. 85% thought that sport can help South Africa to deal with xenophobia and racism. And a large proportion of foreign nationals indicated agreement with these statements. So that just goes to tell us what sport can do in South Africa, how it influences our sentiment. And often, the country can be quite divided, where we find ourselves in this very interesting place in South Africa with a government of national unity. And I like to say it's chasing the rainbow, the government of national unity, because they're trying to do what was done. And I had a wonderful interview with Trevor Manuel about the you remember that? Not so much. No. About the 1994 government of national pay such an impact on you. About how the 1994 GNU could be inspiration to the 2024 GNU. And that has meant that we have had to learn how to share. We've had to learn how to share power. And as South Africans, we've had to learn how to work together. And some of the best stories in this country are about partnerships, public-private partnerships, Operation Vulindlela, the work being done between corporates in this country, civil society, and getting active citizens involved as well. That's the only way we're going to get things to work in this country, if there is this kind of cooperation that we're seeing. Next year is a local government election. That means it's going to get messy, and it's going to get ugly. And we are going to need sport to unify us. It's going to be the one thing that is going to really drive unity. 2027, the ANC goes to an elective conference. The DA has an elective conference. I don't know when yours is, I'm sorry. I know you've got to say something. I'm going to after this. So I urge you to ask yourselves what you can do. As sports administrators particularly, I would like to urge you to please make this World Cup a success. Get us involved. Get South Africans involved. We want to be involved. We want to support you. We want it to be a success. I urge you to work together as administrators. So often in the newspapers and online we read about divisiveness and people pulling in different directions, egos at work, mostly the men, right? Okay? Yeah, I know. So I urge you please, in the interests of South Africa, to get us involved. We want to be active citizens. As the media, how can we help you? How can we make this World Cup a success for all South Africans? Because we need it to drive sentiment in this country. So I really urge you, as the local organizing committee, as government officials, as sports administrators, what role can we play in making this work and making it be successful? Now I want to leave you with my favorite sporting memory. How many of you were at the 438 game? Not bad, not bad. Ken, I'm sure you can tell a better story here about this one. And I'm sure many of you, especially the sports journalists, will know the story backwards. But it's just a highlight reel. Of course, Herschel Gibbs has a massive night in the hotel the night before. He was sitting at the bar until the early hours, drinking himself into form. The next morning, Vicky Arthur and Brailsford wanted to drop him, but they didn't have a spare batsman, so he played. The Australians were trying to do what no one had done, score 400 in an ODI. They never thought it was possible. But Ricky Ponting went out at the ball ring and was in spectacular form. The Australians managed to finish on 434. They went into the change room and everyone was depressed. Everybody was feeling down. It was a Tuesday, despairing, that kind of feeling. And Jacques kind of said, in his dry way, well, I think the bowlers did their job. I reckon they're about 10 to 15 short. And I love that because it just tells us about South Africa's sense of humour and how we never give up. And how he was able to change the mood in a change room and inspire the team and get them going out there. And what we saw that day was nothing short of remarkable. Graham Smith made 19. Herschel Gibbs was unbelievable. For those of you who saw it, once in a lifetime experience. It was just remarkable how he was spraying it around the field. Yeah, he made 175, that's right. So he made 175, he came off and he gave Mickey Arthur a wink and he said, what did he say? They'll do it. Something like that. And then of course, it came down to the last couple of runs and Mckenzie. And Mckenzie had to protect his wicket. Somehow, he managed to pedal a ball off his leg stump down to third man and made a single. And Mark Archer hit the winning runs. There is a plaque at the corner drive end of the Wanderers, which tells us this is the home of the greatest one-day international of all time. The greatest ODI of all time, hosted in South Africa. A poll was done in 2011. They asked all the cricket fans around the world, what is the greatest ODI of all time? And that's the one they chose, hosted in South Africa. 3 years before that, in 2003, we hosted the Cricket World Cup in South Africa. I was a volunteer at that World Cup. I wasn't a journalist yet. I was a volunteer. My job was to look after the media. And the journalist that I looked after that day of the final, when I was on the field when Australia lifted the trophy, not our finest moment, I remember it vividly. But the journalist I had to look after is now the chief photographer for the President of South Africa. And I'll never forget standing on that field as a South African. I forget the bits about Australia lifting the trophy, but that bit about being a South African, the centre of the cricketing world, and how we felt as a nation. And you'll never forget that memory of what sport can do, what hosting a successful tournament can do in this country. So I urge all of you to go out there, get us involved. I want to be a volunteer again. You can use my services with the greatest of pleasure. And just make sure that we have the most amazing Cricket World Cup. You have a huge responsibility ahead of you, but go out there and make us proud.
As long as you make it God, it's fine, you will understand.
South Africa. 80 blow van ons hemel. 80 diepte van ons see. Voor ons bewegen geberg is. Met die kansen antwoord geef. Sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us love and strive for freedom in South Africa, our land.
Thank you, Mandy. Please give her another round. That was wonderful. And I could see all of you smiling. Just took me back actually to Lord's on that day. And what was, in echoing Mandy, what was kind of most stark was how many people traveled from South Africa to fill Lord's on that last historic day, what turned out to be the last day, and how many stayed afterwards to to say well done, to also bask in the achievement. That's what sport can do. Each one, I quote somebody. It's a book called, I do read books sometimes. It's a book called Solve for Happy. And each one is the main actor of their own story. And let's make that even bigger to say each country is that. Cricket as a game that is like life, has moments. How you fill the moments in cricket is particularly important, but you choose that. Seldom are all 11 or 15 or 16 happy and celebrating, because an individual game brings people together where you may win as a team, but you might have got a duck, and you might have got a gal who runs off your bowling and so forth, drops the catch, whatever it is. But you have to put it aside, grow a thick skin, and make sure you're happy for the next person alongside you. So hopefully, all together, those in the room and many who will do the hard work out there will take heed of the message given. Time now to get a message of support from the Minister in the Presidency, Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. Smiling already. Please come on. There's my
Thank you very much. I'm always smiling, even if it's sad, but I'm always smiling. I'm very excited, of course, to be here, and I must apologize that I did not arrive on time. Let me take this opportunity, of course, to greet the former Deputy President of our country, Mem Lambo Kanuka. Let me also take this opportunity to acknowledge and, of course, greet my colleague, my boss. You always say boss. We all love that. He's one of the most, if I must say so, one of the most popular ministers in this current cabinet. I remember the first time when we had a cabinet meeting, almost all the other ministers wanted to take a picture with him. He's our colleague. Why is it important? But then you can see how the GNU actually work. When we are out there seeing cameras, people act as though we don't love each other. When we are alone, we are bestest of friends. We hug, we share photos, and we talk about so many things. Let me also, of course, take this opportunity again to greet the former minister, who's currently, of course, the chairperson of the All LOC board. Let me take this opportunity again to also greet all the other board members that are here. Let me also take this opportunity, of course, to acknowledge the Deputy Minister of Sports, Education, Innovation, Youth and Arts in Namibia, Honorable Mr. Dino Baloti. Let me take this opportunity, of course, also to greet the Chairperson of Cricket South Africa Board, Ms. Pel Maposhe. I think it shouldn't be the board, because the board is you, isn't it? This must be wrong. However, I just want to stick to the script that I was given. You are the CEO. Oh, you are? Okay, all right. Well, I'm learning. Let me take this opportunity, of course, to also acknowledge the President of the Cricket South Africa, Mr. Rehan Richards. Let me also take this opportunity, of course, to also greet everyone that is here, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day. I'm actually pleased, as I've already said, to be here today. I used to be a Consul General in Mumbai, and I think you once came there, Honorable former Deputy President. One of the things that Indians do is that if India is not playing, they always supported South Africa. And that, of course, has always made me really become so proud. In fact, we didn't have so much to offer as South Africa as it relates to the trade issues that we went there for. But what we offered was always the cricket of South Africa. So somehow we were able to compete with the likes of USA, Germany, that were so popular in India. So whenever they would have an event, they would always call us just because of the cricket. So I am really, really excited to be here today, precisely because today we are going, as we are launching this LOC and what will be happening in 2027, which is the Men's International Cricket Council World Cup, which takes place in South Africa,
Zimbabwe, and Namibia. The announcement of the local organizing committee board underscores our nation's commitment to once again deliver a premium mega sport event, which also leaves a legacy of uniting people from all over society. I couldn't say this more than I could say today, precisely because as one of the things that I do on a daily basis is to actually assess how the country is doing, whether it's the economy or it's sports or maybe social issues. One of the things that we always check is how sports is actually uniting our people. That's one of the social indexes that we actually produce as a department. And I must say that sports have actually done so well in assisting us to actually deal with the issue of uniting South Africa. So I'm really excited that we are going to be having this World Cup in 2027 again. Under the stewardship, of course, of Mr. Trevor Manuel as the chairperson, I am confident that South Africa will once again host a memorable and world-class cricket World Cup. I'm also confident that the LOCAB will consistently advance good governance to ensure that South Africa once again delivers a premium World Cup, which leaves a legacy that we can always just celebrate. And most of all, of course, what we are also looking forward to is the labs and the clinics that will be taking place, I do hope, in many different localities for our young people, because the World Cup should not only be about the games and the matches that will be taking place, but it should also leave something that South Africans would always remember. We know that we still remember what happened in 1995. We remember what happened in 2010 as well. And that happened precisely because the spin-offs that comes with situations or events such as this one are far much greater. Sport plays a fundamental role, as I've already said, in our nation building by fostering national unity and social cohesion, which is quite important. When I was growing up, I grew up in politics, and if you can remember, we used to have a subcommittee that would deal with social cohesion. We don't have that anymore. And I really do believe that assisted that a lot in order to come up with ways at which we can actually build a better South Africa. The founding president of our democracy, Dr. Nelson Mandela, emphasized that it is very important for sports to actually play a meaningful role in society. And he once said that sport has the power to change the world, it has the power to inspire, it has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. And I close quotes. As South Africa prepares to host the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup for a second time, let us continue to carry this message and to use sports as a key vehicle in uniting our communities and to also propel development in our communities, especially in rural communities, as I've already said. In conclusion, let me take this opportunity, of course, to congratulate the local organizing committee board of the 2027 ICC Men's World Cup. I wish you well in your responsibilities of ensuring that South Africa once again hosts a successful and memorable World Cup. And I like what Mandy said in terms of playing a role as an active citizen. Active citizenry is quite important to building a nation, but also to contributing to the state doing better. And I'm actually happy that you said that call on us. We'll definitely call on you more and ensure that whatever it is that we are doing, we do it in such a way that it will speak to the broader society and yield the results that probably everyone is looking for. So let me say thank you very much for inviting me and allowing us to come and share this day with you, and congratulations to the LOCB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, time for the announcement, actually. Everybody, no doubt, looking forward to, probably already know, being in the media, but to all of them being introduced and also being made absolutely official and therefore able to take step number one, whatever that is. And to make that announcement, none other than the inimitable Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, the Honourable Mr. Gayton Mckenzie. Please.
Can't take me anyway. My phone was on and I googled what does vivacious mean. Now, then I switched my phone off. And then you called me. You made a problem. So I couldn't Google, so I won't Google. So I've got no comment about that. Minister, my sister's son and his white friend came to borrow money from me for a business. They want to buy a car and fix the car and sell the car. So I gave them a loan with interest. After giving them the loan, I saw on TikTok they managed to sell the car at a great profit. So I then sent him a message. I said, "Where's my money?" And he ignored me. And I called him. I said, "Where's my money?" He says, "Yeah, I will bring it tomorrow." I said, "You better." He sent me a message after I dropped the call. He says, "Well, the fact that you only called me and not my white partner makes me start to believe the racism stories about me." Let me greet the former Deputy President. You know, Mckenzie, you are a true patriot. She loves sport. She's not faking or pretending. You'll find it at school sport, you'll find it at top games. And we're always together there. I was saying to her this morning, people are going to start talking about the two of us. And nothing gives me greater joy than seeing you here today. The Minister, what people don't know about the GNU, I'll tell you something. This is gossip. Then I'll deny if you say I said that. The Government of National Unity, I was asked to meet 12 of the richest South Africans after I went to go and watch the game between the Springboks and England. And they asked me to stay because these billionaires want to have a question for me. That's strange, I don't know them, I'm going to stay. So I had lunch with them. And they asked me this question, they said, "Will the GNU last?" I said, "Yeah, of course, of course." They said, "Why?" And these guys, that's the only question they had. I said to them, "I don't think we in the GNU particularly like each other. Some of us. But I know one thing for sure. We hate the ones that's not part of the GNU. So on that basis alone, we're going to tolerate each other." I mean, President, I tell you, I went with the Deputy President to Japan, and I had to give a speech. I had to speak about culture. But then Minister Gayton couldn't make it, and there was a mining spot. So I said, "No, Deputy President, I will let me fill that spot because of my knowledge of mining." But I got sick with flu. And I went to the chemist in Japan. And I've never seen such a clueless pharmacist. He couldn't understand English. I didn't understand, so I was trying to make sense of it. He still couldn't understand, and I realized if I don't leave here, I might leave with birth control tablets. So I got back to the hotel with all the tablets. And John Steenhuisen appeared, he was with us in Japan. He said, "Minister, you don't look well." I said, "I'm sick as a dog." He says, "Wait right here, I'm coming." And he came back with half a pharmacy, like lots of tablets for me. He came with lots of tablets things. And he said, "You take 4 of this, you take 3 of this, you take..." I looked at him, fair chance. You're not going to kill me so easily. So I got to my room. And I got to my room. I'm like, I ain't drinking this tablets. No way. Not from the head of John Steenhuisen. But it became so bad that I took out my phone. I took a picture of the tablets. And I sent the message. I said, "Baby, if I die tonight, I want you to tell the Hawks at this time. So just before I move on, and that is the GNU for you. And the next morning I was feeling very good. And I want to welcome the minister. Minister, you know, what we say behind your back, I'm going to say in front of you today. You are the glue when we are fighting. You speak to everyone in the GNU. You got a smile. I mean, we all trust you. I mean, I know the DA don't trust me, but there's some guys that trust me. But you're the one constant that everyone, because we have our caucus outside the ANC. And that secret caucus will be like, the president, I love when the president speaks because of, he called the minister, M. So you are the one person, and I want to say to you that you are the most welcoming person for all of us. You are so welcoming. You're always there to help us because it's also our first time there. Make lots of mistakes and don't know how some of the things work. You always help with a smile. And I want to say to you, you truly, and I said it to you last week, so people shouldn't think that you've given me a check here outside. I said to you last week that with you as a leader, this country will be really better off. And I mean it. You are truly one person that has kept us together, even when we fight on the groups. You will come with somebody's birthday, happy birthday. And I'm thinking like, how do you know when it's Dean McPherson's birthday? So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I wanted to say to the president of cricket, I say you've done a hell of a fine job. And we're really, really proud of you. To the chairperson, Chair, you know, what do you say, Mbogoto. Thank you so much for who you are, your humble nature, always willing to help. CEO, you know, sometimes when I go to the rugby, I can just put on something. When I go to the rugby, I can just put on something. And I meet with the president and the CEO, Rian, because they'll come with Fjeld Spooner. And when I come to cricket, you know, you put one to say, I must always put a dice suit. And to the Deputy Minister of Namibia, you've become a true friend. You've become a true friend. We share so much in common. And we are so glad that Zimbabwe and Namibia forms part of that we are partners with them in this World Cup. This is history being made of what we can achieve when we work together as different nations and as equals. And I want to welcome you graciously. Thank you. And to our chair, you know, I was at a party of a friend of mine, very prominent guy, Rob Hersov. And he had some people there from the New York Stock Exchange. And I came with 3 guys from Manenberg to the party. So you can understand Manenberg, and what the conversation steered to finance ministers. And the only thing they agreed on was that, you know, people like you comes like Halley's Comet. It's not every day. And I have got no doubt in my mind that, you know, you can be praised by the people with higher excellence. And if the people on the lowest strata of the world and the highest excellence share the same thought about you, that's a life that was worth living. And for you, I want to say, nothing gives me greater joy than you being the chairperson of this conference. To the MC, I will reserve my praise until I've Googled. Very prolific Englishman. I'm a big fan of your work. I will withdraw that after Googling if I found something. Yeah. To the cricket people that are here, I'm talking about the presidents of the federations. I'm talking about the people keeping cricket alive in the areas. Your story is never told. I love in a place called Chicago, in Paarl. And it's in Paarl, you're either against a rugby player or flucky cricket player. That's it. And the flucky cricket players are more than the gangsters because of what you guys are doing in our communities. I want to thank you. Your work is one where people don't recognize, but it takes you away from your own children to look after our children. And to the board of cricket, I say, lastly, thank you. Thank you for putting this together. And something important was said here. The minister also said that, you know, we want this to be a World Cup for all of South Africa. It shouldn't be a World Cup for some. There should be provisions should be made for the people that can't afford a ticket. Provisions should be made for a child that plays cricket but has never seen a live cricket game. We should make those provisions in Namibia, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. The ones that think that our country is a great country. Yeah, we have our moments, but you must never forget one thing about South Africa. South Africa is one of the greatest countries in the world. You know, people say that we are a failed state. You need to travel more if you think South Africa is a failed state. This country, under the leadership of President Ramaphosa, has got a direction. We know, we can see, we are not yet where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be. We've got the best rugby team in the world. We've got the best cricket team in the world. We've got the strongest men in the world. We've got the strongest women in the world. We've got the best surfing team in the world. Even Bafana's got 19 games without a loss. That doesn't tell you. We live in a miracle country. Old man stopped me I had some guys coming over to watch sport with me, so I don't drink, so I went to go get him some alcohol. And this old man says to me, I know how we lost. I said, why? He says, they must learn to leave the sports minister alone. And he has made me feel so good. I want to congratulate the local organizing committee, board of directors, and we want the public to know who they are. These are truly eminent individuals. You know, you don't need to worry. The people that's here, they're going to deliver the best World Cup ever. And I mean that. I mean that sincerely when I say that when we went for the G20 minister, we just have a bad start. Because the minister of Brazil, I was hanging with the minister of Angola the whole day. We were together, me and the minister of Angola. The evening, we were exchanging gifts. And the minister of Angola taking out a CD. That's his own music that he makes. And he gives it to the minister of Brazil of culture. She also takes out a CD, music CD, of her own songs. And the ex-minister of Brazil is with us. He's also taking out the CD. And they look at me, I said, well, somebody's going to buy the music. But we went for dinner. And the conversation steered, and this is my message to the LOC, before I announce you. The conversation steered to World Cups. And Russia, Brazil, Argentina, all going to start talking about, they're arguing which World Cup was the best. And I'm sitting there, and nobody's even talked about South Africa. I said, excuse me? And while we're arguing which one was the best, the waiter came. And the waiter said, this is your order, what you going to order? And I said, sorry, do you follow soccer? He says, everybody in Brazil follows football. I said, but you, he says, I don't really follow football, I travel for football. I said, did you watch the World Cup? He said, all of them. I said, you're the right person to ask the next question. Can you sing me any song of any World Cup that you've attended? He said, waka waka. I said, gentlemen, can you order the food now? And the fight is over. And that's what we want to talk about. This cricket event coming. The following people, I can tell you, I just happened to to know if they work. I know them through their work. Our chairperson, which I've spoken about, the chairman of the board is Mr. Trevor Mandy. The second person is Johannes Adams. He's a non-independent, non-executive director. Then we have Mr. Eunice Bobart, a non-independent, non-executive director. Then we have Herman Bosman, independent, non-executive director. Then we have Mr. Vianney Zarana. I'm just going to, they're all non-independent, non-executive directors. Nofanelo Mabrenchu, Dr. Pumzile Mlambo Nuka, Ravi Naidu, Dr. Stravos Nicola, salute, Advocate Philip October, Advocate Carissa Pillay SC, Unati, Nephew Satswana, and the ex-official is Buletsi Museki, Refinse Senus, Chart van der Woud. Can we give all those people a great round of applause? And just, I couldn't help but see Dr. Minister, yes, a lot of doctors, people with. I had a very bad incident going to speak in Cyprus, Minister. Somehow they confused my CV with somebody, and the lady said, the next speaker, Mr. Gayton Mckenzie, has got a doctorate, he's got an MBA, he's got an MBA, and I stood up, and he's got a PhD, and people clapped, and I had to fix that, and I just went up and I said, well, I do have a PhD, I do have an MBA, my PhD stands for past high school with the Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. From your speech, I think you'll find that your Google search will be fitting. I'll ask you another time. Ladies and gentlemen, time now to learn more about those who have been announced and been given this monumental task. They will be the custodians of the work and will be charged with delivering what Minister Mckenzie says will be the best ever World Cup. Now, let me start first of all with the LOC Board Chair, Mr. Trevor Manuel. He served for 20 years as a cabinet minister in the governments of the first 4 presidents in democracy, where he held positions in trade and industry, finance and planning, respectively. He played a key role in stabilizing the economy, reforming public finance, and leading long-term development planning through the National Development Plan. He has received multiple awards and honorary doctorates for his public service. Currently, he chairs Old Mutual, co-chairs a UN panel on debt and development, and serves on several boards and trusts. A round of applause, please. And so please stand and serve the Lord. For those who might not know you, please be. You never know. You just never know. Some live under rocks, you know. I meet Vuyani Jahana, a powerhouse in ICT with over 25 years of leadership, from steering Vodacom and SAA to founding Elita Telecoms. He's on a mission to connect rural Africa. He is also driving innovation at CSIR, boosting growth at ECDC, and shaping the game at Cricket South Africa. Mr. Yunus Bobat is a dynamic entrepreneur and cricket leader. As co-owner of ZY Trading, he drives finance and marketing, and with more than 20 years in cricket admin, he now leads as president of KZN Cricket and sits on the CSA board. A true game changer on and off the field. Herman Bosman is a heavyweight in finance, chairing RMB Holdings, Outsurance, Fortress, REIT, and MTN FinTech, former CEO of RMBH and Deutsche Bank SA, is now founder of Atelier Partners with top-tier board experience and elite credentials. He's shaping South Africa's financial future. Former Deputy President of the Republic, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, is a global trailblazer for gender equality. Former UN Women Head and South Africa's first female Deputy President, she has championed women's rights worldwide, led historic reforms, and mobilized billions to fight inequality. A true powerhouse for justice and change. Dr. Stavros Nicolaou is a global pharma leader with 34 years experience and top honors worldwide. As Aspen Pharmacare's senior executive, he drives strategic growth across 60 countries, champions healthcare access, and builds bridges between public and private sectors for better patient outcomes. Advocate Carisha Pillay SC is a top constitutional law advocate with 24 years at the Cape Bar and Senior Counsel status since 2019. She's shaped major court rulings, served as acting judge, and championed social justice through academia, civil society, and legal leadership. A true force for democracy. Johannes Adams is a lifelong educator and cricket leader. After 36 years in teaching, he's now president of Western Province Cricket and a CSA Members Council representative. From coaching future stars to leading at every level, he's been a pillar of cricket and education in the Western Cape for decades. Nomfanelo Mckenzie is a powerhouse strategist with 30 plus years of executive and boardroom leadership. From COO of the 2010 FIFA World Cup to partner at Mckenzie and now public sector exec at African Bank, she brings sharp strategy, deep governance, and a passion for purpose-driven impact. Advocate Philip October is an HR and labor expert with a passion for people and performance. From his roots in Lotavarta to leadership roles in law, business, and rugby, he's driven by impact, championing efficient workplaces, community upliftment, and youth development through sport. Ravi Naidu is a visionary entrepreneur and founder of Interactive Africa, creator of Design Indaba and co-founder of Africa's first 5G network. He's driven major campaigns from the FIFA World Cup to groundbreaking design projects, putting Africa on the Global Innovation Map. Unati Chotwan is a public admin and political strategist with more than 15 years shaping South Africa's government and sports sectors, from leading government policy to advising national sporting federations. He's driving youth empowerment and social development with passion. And representing Cricket South Africa on the LOC board as ex-officios are Politsi Moseki, the dynamic CEO of Cricket South Africa, leading with passion since 2022. A qualified chartered accountant, he brings sharp financial expertise from top firms like Deutsche Bank. Politsi co-founded a venture capital firm and now drives CSA's mission to rebuild trust, secure big sponsorships, and champion gender equality in cricket. Recognized for outstanding leadership, he is also shaping the game globally as part of the ICC Chief Executives Committee. Cricket's future is bright with Politsi at the helm. Chief Finance Officer Gerard van der Walt is a seasoned finance and commercial expert with over 30 years of experience. A qualified chartered accountant, he's held top finance roles in mining and logistics. Since 2022, he's been Cricket South Africa's CFO and Board Executive Director, overseeing finance, admin, supply chain, IT, and legal. With Chart on board, CSA's finances and operations are certainly in expert hands. Public Affairs Executive Rufense Shinnes is a powerhouse in public relations and corporate affairs with over 20 years of experience. She's led major reputation and stakeholder efforts at Airports Company South Africa and now drives Cricket South Africa's public affairs. Rufense is a strong advocate for women in leadership and sports administration. Her work exemplifies a commitment to transforming the cricket landscape and empowering women through leadership and advocacy, pushing boundaries and inspiring the next generation. That's all of them. If I could ask all of you, and I'm sorry I'm asking you a second time, to just stand up and receive your flowers from everybody. Organizing committee board on the ICC Cricket World Cup 2000.
Hey.
Righto, if I could kindly ask Minister, please to come up, take a seat, a short panel discussion before we close. Also ask Mr. Rian Richards to come up, President CSA. Chair of the board, Mr. Trevor Manuel, please come up. And CEO of CSA, Mr. Politsi, immaculately turned out. I should say always, putting others to shame. Yeah, let's get into it straight away, and I suppose tournament readiness is what will be kind of uppermost with many. Mr. Chair, you first. 30 months to go before that first ball. Sufficient time to organize and get the event across the 3 countries?
Well, it's not as though you have a choice about these things. I do want to make the point. that we've been waiting for this day for a long time to be official. And it's been 8 months that we've tried to get this thing together. So thank you very much. It's now official and we can proceed. I do want to make a point that what holds all of this together is the corporate secretary. Keynote, thank you very much. She's the most marvelous person. The question of readiness is fundamentally important, and I think that one of the people who should be here for a whole range of reasons, but certainly for gender representativity as well, is Minister. Yes. And I want to say why. See, the success of the Cricket World Cup will largely be because the national government can bring all three spheres of government into play. It's fundamentally important because if you don't have the transport ministry involved, you don't have airports that function, you leave bad experiences for those who come and visit the country. If you don't have our police service properly engaged, our tourists are going to have very bad experiences. If we don't get the Ministry of Cocktail involved, you're not going to get the roads fixed. And so where's Mandy? You can go to the bull ring and have a wonderful game, but you see, you can't have G20 roads and not roads. We must get our invitees to South Africa. The experience is what matters. The experience is what will be lasting and will bring people back to South Africa. It can't just be a set of events in 2027. It needs to be an all-in effort. And so I think we're going to depend very much, Minister, on government to be able to deliver and work with us. From the side of the LOC, our job is fairly small. You know, there's a wonderful book about cricket. It's called Beyond the Boundary by Sir Lord James. Well, our work is beyond the boundary. What happens within the boundary are the things that CSA organizes. It's the readiness of the pitches, it's the infrastructure, the ground. We have to ensure that everything else is in place. It's a big challenge. And I think one that the new directors have stepped up to. I want to make a point that former Deputy President Dr. Mckenzie is going to be responsible for, amongst other things, community participation and the durable engagement of communities in cricket. I'm going to keep needling her. She's my sister, I can do that, and ensure that we can have that. Ensuring that we have that is so important. Not after the event, not a search for what happened to the money later. It's something that has to happen continuously from now. The points that Minister Marupin made about getting these labs and so on going, those things must happen now, and you know, if we don't get all South Africans to celebrate and feel ownership, I think we would fail as an LOC. Thank you.
It moves nicely to you, Honourable Minister. You spoke about infrastructure and readiness. Is the existing infrastructure ready to accommodate the demands of a tournament such as that?
Well, you know, let me start by saying that we have hosted the biggest sports tournament ever in the world. Bigger than cricket, bigger than rugby. We've hosted rugby, we've hosted cricket. It's not our first rodeo. We've hosted a soccer World Cup. But there's no country in the world that hosts any event without touch-ups also. You go to countries in the world, America now, they are busy preparing for the Soccer World Cup and the Olympics. What I must add is what's important for people to know about the government of national unity is that one of the KPIs that I have is that we must bring big events to South Africa. Today we are announcing cricket, the Cricket World Cup. We have got Live Golf coming, the first time to Africa, next year March. It has outsold every record, any country that has ever hosted Live Golf has never sold so many tickets in a space of less than 30 days. We are in the crucial stage with our F1 negotiations. We are at a crucial stage to host Olympics 2036 as Africa. So the future is bright, and I believe we have the right expertise, as you see in this room. But our country, you know, South Africa, if I have to give another name for South Africa, is come with the hour, come with the man. Come with the man, come with the hour. South Africa always, when it is necessary for South Africa to rise to the occasion, it never fails. So from government side, we are born ready for this type of events.
Born out of numerous events, cricket-wise certainly, that have been held on short notice and on South African soil, with CSA and government ready to say yes and take things up. Let's move along a little bit and speak about legacy and development. You know, what legacy is CSA hoping for post this World Cup?
Right, Tommy, I think I'll speak specifically around the legacy projects we at CSA envisage, and you know, our position is always, we talk about inclusivity, access and those things, so those are the fundamental things that we drive. And we're looking out of this as how we can create this access not only for South Africans, but to Africa, and to view it from an African perspective. To this extent, we had an event that was held by the ICC, specifically in Tanzania, in which 21 African nations partook, and we identified certain specific projects that falls to us, not to take and say these are yours, but these are ours as CSA and the ICC. We've got a number of programs, including a teachers training program, and this is specifically to engage more people in the community and to develop the foundation and to spread the game within Africa. Because people tend to forget that Africa is quite a big continent and there's over 1 billion people. So if we can create more people that's interested in the game, naturally your viability as a sport will go up. We've also identified a specific, modified type of cricket so that we can spread the game easier throughout the rural areas, which is called a 6v6 softball competition. And this will be promoted by the ICC. And then we've also got what we call in term a women's and girls health program. And this is specific to retain girls and women within sports through ensuring that we have a good understanding, they have a good understanding to not only the medical, but educational needs. We're also driving another program which is called the Under 16 Boys and Girls competition for members, and we're also even trying to convert this not only to a members competition but a continental competition, so that this spreads the game throughout Africa. People tend to forget there's actually 23 countries in Africa that actually plays cricket, so there's a good foundation for us to build on. National cricket facilities plays an important part of this. So we've targeted very specific to create access. We need to develop especially practicing facilities in various rural communities. Those are important, but more importantly, we're also engaging consistently with ensuring that we improve our own governance so that we can hold ourselves accountable. So there's various programs that has been run by the ICC and CSA to ensure that we actually get everybody to a standard to have a good understanding of the requirements of governance, as well as financial literacy, and certain programs are underrun. And all these programs are tied into ensuring that the members grow as a base, because this thing would also improve the funding from the ICC, which would make this program sustainable long after 2027. but this is the catalyst. And the legacy projects that will specifically be driven by the board might complement or be completely different. But I think those are things that we are already driving as the ICC as well as CSA.
Yeah, thanks, Wiener. Yeah. Comprehensive.
Yeah.
We got their sound bites. But let's see, a question, I suppose, in two parts. And the first one is about money. That's what you deal with, right? Yeah? So, economic benefits. What specific economic benefits are expected? And I suppose this will kind of be from a Cricket South Africa perspective, and to kind of split that to the other side, perhaps for the minister, would also be about country benefit. And in that, please could you explain to us, if you've envisaged it already, the challenges of hosting across 3 countries?
Thanks for me. Very important question. You know, for a lot of people, sport is about entertainment, social cohesion, and as Minister said earlier, Mandy, happiness. You know, happiness factor. And I think as sporting codes, we understand the importance of that. You know, hence I subscribe to that graph that Mandy showed about the happiness factor. I know a lot of us were quite depressed on Saturday, you know. But many people don't realize the massive economic contributor that sport is. You know, whether it comes to employment opportunities, whether it comes to tourism, whether it comes to being some sort of economic catalyst at those places that are hosting sports. I mean, you should try to see what will be happening in Cape Town this weekend. It's quite a lot of money that will be happening. So you can imagine when you speak about such a massive event, and literally the biggest event that the country will be hosting since 2010 World Cup, as the minister has highlighted. And probably the last one that will be hosting, at least in my generation, in my lifetime, you know. So it's a massive event for us as cricket, but even far bigger for the country itself, you know. Okay. So one of the things that we did as part of the bidding process, we commissioned an economic impact study. We commissioned an economic impact study as part of the bid process from one of the independent services providers that provide this type of services, you know. And the numbers that came out, they were quite amazing. And that was in 2021, just immediately after that scary period of COVID. So you can imagine it is quite conservative, that study itself. But even the numbers then were quite amazing. I mean, it was basically speaking about 5 billion rand in expenditure, local expenditure in the country, about 27,000 job opportunities that will be created, both direct and indirect, 1.8 billion rand that will be paid to the fiscus in taxes, and about 15 billion rand in GDP contribution. You know, so those are massive numbers. That basically shows the economic impact. And as I said, that was quite conservative. It was literally just after COVID. So hopefully as the LOC board will do like another study as soon as possible, so then we can actually show to the people that this is actually quite an investment into the economy, into the country, into, like, you know, the sport, but even something far bigger than that. So when we go and knock at the doors of the ministers and government, they can understand that they're actually investing into something that is far bigger than just a sporting event. As the chairperson has highlighted as well, it's far bigger than that. And hence we're quite confident that this will have a massive impetus for the economy itself as part of the build-up, but even the event itself, you know. So I think sometimes we're quite confident about that, and hopefully we'll just have an updated study done as soon as possible. So insofar as hosting across 3 geographies, in the last few months I've been to Namibia, I've been to Zimbabwe, and I'm quite close to those individuals that are basically responsible for these events in those countries themselves. I am quite comfortable that all of us are aligned. All of us want to make sure that this is a very successful African World Cup. I think when we bid for the event itself, we're quite intentional as CSA. We could have bid as South Africa, but we basically wanted to ensure that we include our other African brothers and sisters to make it an African World Cup, you know. And we're including Zimbabwe as a no-brainer for us. This is one of the full members of ICC. But it took us some time to decide which other country to include. And Namibia has done amazingly well in the last few years. Like, you know, the cricket has grown in leaps and bounds. So it made sense that we basically include Namibia into this massive event that we're basically hosting. And as I said, when I was there in Namibia, I know the guys are running, are working hard to ensure that they contribute to the delivery of a successful African World Cup, which is the same in Zimbabwe. You know, so I am quite confident that we'll be able to manage and deliver something that will be quite spectacular, and people will still speak about it even 15 years later, like that gentleman in Brazil that the minister was referring to.
You spoke about Namibia. Honourable Minister, I know it's impromptu, and I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but please come up. And as you come up, you'll listen to my question you can answer right here, to say the magnitude of this for Namibia, what it means, what your sentiment is as you stand here for this announcement.
Thank you very much. I wasn't expecting to share some few words, but perhaps I would also like to lie and say I came to South Africa for cricket, but we came for combi courts, where the Honourable Minister was hosting myself and the delegation. But we were so fortunate that it coincided with this this launch this morning, and it's so befitting. So to your question, and I'm so proud to announce that our brand new, I want to call it a world-class stadia, is going to be completed tomorrow. Wow. That facility, which also hosts Namibia's first high-performance center, is a result of us co-hosting, I'm going to say co-hosting, the Cricket World Cup. And it's only with this event that we now can proudly host a world-class facility with a high-performance center that caters for many sport codes. And I think all Namibians are quite excited. We will also have to do a happiness survey. But I can really attest that as a country, we're equally excited. We're hosting the Under-20 Cricket World Cup later this year. And I think the team and Honourable Minister, you're both invited. I think everyone in the room is invited. We'll host you. Might not be Chisanyama, but we'll do Kapana. So yes, I think as a country, we're excited. We're a new administration. I'm only in this role for the past 100 days or so. My Honourable Minister, she would also have loved to have been here. But I always say she does the tough stuff and I do the fun stuff. So yes, we're excited, and we see many spin-offs, as has been discussed, with co-hosting this World Cup in the coming years. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What was it you said? Born ready. And don't say I don't do anything for you. I got your invites to Namibia. Hey, I don't know how you're getting there. You can speak to them afterwards, you know, like logistics and all of that. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Now that the board is in place, and I'm speaking to the chair here, what timeframes will you give yourselves in terms of appointing a tournament director, sort of an operational team? I'm sure there'll be questions and answers afterwards, but that's probably one of the questions all those journalists out there are wanting to know.
Well, we aren't sitting on our hands. In fact, the Nominations and Governance Committee met with some placement agencies already. The board has seen the job spec, and very soon we'll get through this process. And if there are people who can run a tournament like this, just watch the space and do apply. We hope for a competitive process. I said to Poletsi, the director we appoint, she, and he says, what do you mean she? I said, yes. We want people to find best person. There's also been a question, Bonnie, about whether it would be exclusively open to South Africans, and we're saying there's a lot of negotiation to happen, primarily with government and so on, so the chances are strong, but it's non-exclusive. It's a difficult job because the person you're looking for is unlikely to be sitting around unemployed on the street corner. The person you're looking for has the skills, the networks, the experience, and wants his opportunity. And you invite a person not because they're interested in the pension benefits later, but because they will join in this effort in a very short period of time and make it happen. But I think that the board is ready, and Louisa, our COSEC, will probably tell me as I walk out when the meeting with the placement agencies will be. But it's on the cards, saying we're not going to hang around for ceremony on this one. We have to get the show moving.
On to government and the leveraging of this World Cup in trying to position South Africa as a destination of choice, like for the guy in Brazil. Maybe he was a sort of avid soccer person who probably would have come for the soccer, being from Brazil. But how to reach others who will turn up in South Africa because it's a destination, somewhere they will go, and incidental is that they will watch cricket or other sports as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think we must be honest that this is my experience, that we all, with the government of national unity, we all bring something to the table which was lacking before, all parties. And one thing I think that I'm bringing to the table is the business of sport. South Africa has always seen sport as entertainment, as making us happy. But South Africa, in my opinion, has never latched on to the business of sport. And you see that now, you know, even yourselves, the CSA, during this process, and all of us do it, you still speak about the 2010 World Cup in your presentation. When the president presents and they say, will our product be in good hands? You're like, FIFA gave us the product. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. People that would normally never come to this country come here because of sport. We have an unemployment problem. This helps with unemployment. We have a problem of not showcasing our great country enough. This helps with showcasing our great country. Now, South Africans have such great people, but the loudest people sometimes in our country are the negative ones. They're just louder than all of us. And I think that this event, and you see the caliber of people that is going to put this together with the caliber of government that you have now. There's no way this can fail. And also, what's important for me is, and I want to use an example of our negotiations in South Korea and in the UK with the Live Golf people. The biggest issue was for us, and this is my advice to the board, was the affordability of the tickets. We're having a problem in South Africa that we need to address accessibility to attend a sporting event. And with Live Golf, what happened is, what I take from there is that they came down with a price to suit everyone in South Africa. And my advice to this board would be, go back and look at, this is not only for profits, but it's for legacy. The next wave of cricket players. The last thing I want to say is that I heard that the CEO of cricket has said in his lifetime, there will never be a, so not wanting to give my age away, in my lifetime there will be another two still coming. Thank you. Sorry, can I say one more? Sure. You know, if my son is 6 years old. He comes to me, he says, Dad, your mom says I must come to you. I said, for what? He says, I must say something about South Africa at school tomorrow. I said, you go there and you say you live in the greatest country called South Africa. And he's 6 years old. He goes and he tells them, we live in the greatest country in South Africa. And everybody start clapping. And this is his peers. Now, that is what we as South Africans must know. Our country is great. We've got great people in our country. It's known all over the world. We've got a government that helps to bring this. This would not have been possible if it wasn't for the government. So we've got the best cricket players in the world. I mean, they've done the, what do you call it, the teaser. There's no other advert. I don't know what other advert you still want to play. Just show the mace, show Tempa Vume, play the song, we are done. If you still not come to South Africa after that, you never would have come here anyway. Thank you very much.
I'll come to you now. And 2003, I spoke about it before, and I spoke about Galaga and the rest, but here we are many years later, and that was described as a world-class event. Everybody absolutely loved 2003, and I know I said smile to your face, and maybe in regard to results, could have gone better. Yes, I take that. However, in terms of organizing the tournament, it was fantastic, and you speak to people in cricket circles, you speak to all of them, and they'll say that. How to build on that to have this incarnation of a World Cup in South Africa?
Well, probably it's quite an easy thing to answer, because we've constantly hosted other major cricketing World Cup stuff at short notice, being able to organize the Women's World Cup and the successes, and that's the challenge that the LOC will have, that is to make it better. Imagine what the LOC was able to achieve with the Women's World Cup, and how that stimulated women's cricket in not only in South Africa but in the world. So those are things that we do have the basis for it. It is about harnessing everything that we do have in order to make it. But this thing hasn't just started yesterday, and it's not about 2003. 18 months ago, and I'm looking to my left there, and I'm seeing Inquiry with his project 2027, looking specifically how do we make these changes. And the process for the last 18 months has been very direct. What he said is, how do you want to inspire is by winning. So by creating those winning cultures and the way we're playing and why we're doing it, it's very deliberate what the players and those guys are doing. And I think is the infrastructure is basically there from a cricketing perspective, and the others will naturally flow through negotiation. So I totally believe that we have the capacity already there to be able to host these things successfully. And I think with the LOC that's been put together, it's been very deliberate. It is because we know what we expect. And when I first had the message to you, Trevor, was very directly what we expect. This is not just a cricket World Cup, this is a cricket World Cup being held in South Africa and in Africa. And that is what we expect to deliver. To be able to take this thing to the next level, and I think is with the caliber of people that makes up this board, I can't see it not being anything but better than what it was.
Okay, let's hope you're right. We believe you're right. Final question for this panel discussion, because of time. It's to you, Poletsi. Woe be it, but what happens if any of the host venues and cities does not meet the required standard and level of readiness by the stipulated deadline?
Well, so there is 11 ICC accredited venues. Of those, 8 are currently classified as host venues, and 1 is a reserve venue. But we're also doing some work and we'll be working with a whole lot of other individuals on those other 2 stadiums that are not necessarily part of this 8+1, you know. But it's more than that, even like, you know, because we are responsible for the World Cup. If Namibia is an example, thank God the stadium is ready. Or Zimbabwe, there's an issue. All of them, we basically have to be sure that we are ready to host any other games, you know. I am quite confident and comfortable that should that unfortunate circumstance happens that we have to change a venue or lose one venue, we'll be able to accommodate it. Because as I said, we've got a lot of stadiums. Already 8 is quite a lot by local standard. And that's just 8 in South Africa, including the ones in Namibia and Zimbabwe. You know, so I'm quite comfortable that if we lose 1 or 2 venues, we should still be able to deliver quite a spectacular show. God forbid.
As I say, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, your panelists, please give them a round of applause. I'd like to keep them here because we will have questions from the floor, but first up we've got to close this and allow those who do not have questions to go out and socialize, and there are refreshments out there as well. We'll also have some questions from online. Before I do that, lost and found, there's a hotel key card, I think it is, that's been found. So if you're missing one of those, please just go to the desk up at the front. Refreshments are served outside, as I say, and please help yourselves. Thank you for coming. I said at the start that cricket brings a smile to people's faces, and it's a smile among many other reactions. This is an opportunity, I believe, for cricket to be celebrated. And South Africa very often has the opportunity to celebrate cricket. There is no bigger chance and no better opportunity than now. It's almost as if it was the lead up to this announcement and this road to 2027 that the Proteas won at Lord's, and beating Australia as well. Kind of the cherry on top, right? Every day has to be, and you know how hard it is to win. Every day has to be a celebration of that victory, but also of what it takes to get to that victory. So, yeah, all the best to everybody, and we'll see you around. 5 minutes, and then we'll take questions. They'll take questions from you.
Nothing. Sure, I would do ownership.